may remember if you've seen the videos, but last year I tried the X-Pro2 for a while. But a few months ago, I really got the itch to revisit the X-Pro2. Today I'm going to talk about the reasons why I stopped shooting it last year and the reasons why I returned to it. So in short, the reasons why I stopped shooting it last year was because I still felt a little uncomfortable, still a little new to the rangefinder design, the rangefinder layout. And that was one reason. The other reason was I had inaccurate or some misconceptions about what I could do with the camera. Specifically, how I could use manual focus lenses on it. It never really clicked with me until I started using it that you really need to use the EVF with most manual focus lenses on this camera, which is totally fine, but again, my expectations were that I could put manual focus lenses on this, use the little focus assist patch and be fine, but manual focus lenses don't move the frame lines on this camera. The EVF is pretty much needed when you use manual focus lenses. That's all on my expectations being inaccurate about this camera. So that kind of disappointed me when I really started to shoot with it and not being able to use my manual focus lenses the way I wanted to. So I went back to the X-T2, X-T4, X-H1, and so on. The cameras that I was comfortable with, the cameras I just could pick up and shoot and not think about it because they felt at home to me. I returned to those. But a while back, I started to get the itch again to give the X-Pro2 another shot, mainly because I've been craving an OVF again. I've been craving the analog aspect of shooting through an optical viewfinder, whether that's with an SLR or a rangefinder-esque style camera or an actual rangefinder that has OVFs. I was really itching to get an OVF again. And since the Leicas are out of my budget, although I would love to try one, I started looking in two directions. One was getting a DSLR again, whether that was Canon or Nikon or even Pentax, or returning to the X-Pro line because I could use my XF lenses, I'm familiar with the system, and I would have the least amount of obstacles with adding that camera back into my workflow. So this time around with the X-Pro2, I've decided to approach it differently, and with a different approach, with a different mindset, my experience with the X-Pro2 this time has been so much better. I could list a lot of small things, but I want to boil it down to one principle or idea or approach to why my experience with the X-Pro2 is much better this time. And that idea or principle is that I'm treating this as this is two cameras in one for me. The first camera is treating it like the X-T2. Any lens I would put on the X-T2, put on here, use the wonderful electronic viewfinder, although it's not as good as my X-H1 or X-T4, it's still superb and gets the job done. So treating it like an X-T2, an extension of my X-T2 or X-H1 was camera number one, is treating it like that and embracing all the lenses I can put on those, I can put on this, and in any way I can shoot those, I can shoot this. The second camera that this has to me is treating this almost like a Contax G2 from the 90s, where I have the great benefits of the optical viewfinder, but mostly with autofocus lenses. As were before, I had hoped to treat this almost like a Leica rangefinder, but once I kind of changed my mindset and said that no, this is a closer relative to the Contax G2 than it is to a Leica M camera, then it kind of clicked for me as like I accept the fact that I will utilize autofocus to gain the benefit of the optical viewfinder. That sounds obvious, right? But like I said, my mindset last year was having my expectations in one place and being disappointed that the camera didn't meet what my expectations were. So me changing my mindset to embrace the benefits that this has in order to gain the benefit of the optical viewfinder has been a huge positive for me. When I treat it like a Contax G2, I turn off the back screen, I turn off the EVF, and since I have autofocus lenses on here, I even turn off the manual focus patch most of the time. I'll manual focus these lenses from time to time, but right now if I embrace it like a G2, I turn off the back screen, I turn off the EVF and the focus assist patch, and all I'm utilizing is the OVF. And I turn my autofocus system into a simple, single point, most of the time single AF mode, and just focus and recompose. And that has been pretty liberating because it feels like I'm shooting a film camera because I don't see my preview. I don't know exactly what I'm shooting. And it's just kind of puts me in that film photography type mindset. And doing that allows me to escape a digital screen for a while. It's one less digital screen I get to look at, since I look at my phone and computer all the time. Utilizing the optical viewfinder allows me to escape those screens for a bit, which is always a good benefit of DSLRs if you shoot them that way, or Leica rangefinders, is that you get to just be immersed in the reality of the moment, and you're just looking through glass and nothing else. And that's what I love about treating it like a G2, is I get that benefit. I also still get all the other benefits of the Fujifilm system that I love. I get to use the Fujifilm glass that I love. I get to get the benefits of the X-Trans 3 sensor and those images that I'm really comfortable with and love to work with, and yet still get a film-like shooting experience. Like I said, if I would have got a Nikon DSLR or Canon DSLR to scratch that itch of getting an optical viewfinder, I would have got some great benefits, don't get me wrong, but this is a great choice because I get to stay in the Fujifilm system, I get the benefit of my lenses, and I get to stay in that X-Trans workflow that I love. Whenever I talk about the X-Pro2 and these realizations I have about it, I realize I'm extremely late to this party, and everyone who loves the X-Pro2 knows these things for the most part. But I do think there are people out there that maybe haven't tried the X-Pro line of cameras and are weighing what the pros are, what the cons are, what they might be able to benefit from using it. So I'm hoping me sharing my experience of having expectations that are not met, and then readjusting my mindset, and then really enjoying the experience. Hopefully this story can kind of help others. Sometimes you need to try things and really kick the tires on some gear and go through these ups and downs to come to these realizations on your own, so that way you feel even more comfortable about the gear choices you make. I'm trying to do a good balance of general photography topics and gear related topics on this channel, but we do need gear to do the art form that we choose to do. So sometimes you have to talk about these choices, or you don't have to, but I want to talk about these things and these choices that we make when choosing gear. So putting aside my expectations that I had going into the X-Pro2 last year and embracing the camera for what it is and what it offers, as opposed to what I expected, has made all the difference in the world. And to me, this is two amazing cameras built into one. And the X-Pro line of cameras, because this applies to the X-Pro1 and X-Pro3 as well, gives you the closest experience you can have to shooting analog photography in the Fujifilm system. And it's fantastic that Fujifilm has given us these cameras to choose from. And I really hope that an X-Pro 4 is right around the corner so they can continue this tradition of having an optical viewfinder camera in their lineup. That's it for now, guys. I just wanted to talk about me revisiting the X-Pro2 and why I stopped shooting it and why I am revisiting it. And so far it's going great. As you know, I'm always revisiting what gear I shoot in terms of the Fujifilm cameras and lenses, so we will see how often I rotate this with other cameras and whatnot. But right now I'm loving shooting this. I'm loving the optical viewfinder experience. And I want to hear from you guys, other X-Pro 1, 2, and 3 users, on what you love about these cameras. So that's it for now, guys. I appreciate every one of you, as always. My new subscribers, my returning subscribers, new viewers who haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do so, and I will talk to you guys soon.